It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
Hello, sweet peas. Welcome back. I am super excited to do a little video like this. I watch videos like this all the time. I've never made one because I felt like I was never a consistent enough like sewist or crafter or anything. I wasn't doing anything consistently enough to be like, here's some hopes I have in the future of things that I want to make. But since about November, I've been like really consistently sewing and getting better because I don't know if you know this, the only way you can get better is by doing something. And it's been really, really like my kind of best way to decompress and like relax is like I have just been really, really in my sewing era. So I'm so excited to chat a little bit about things that I'm excited to make. I hope that maybe you'll get some inspiration, maybe some things you might want to make this year, or hopefully you can just sit down and relax. So grab a little cup of coffee, make sure you get a little snack, and let's chat. I also am a really big, like I've always been a very physical journaler. I haven't been like a consistent journaler, but anytime I've been in an era of my life where I am journaling, it only happens with like physical journals, physical paper, stickers, washi tape, that sort of thing. I tried to be like a digital journal girly when I first got my secondhand iPad. It's just not for me. I like holding it and like flipping through it. Now, that is what I said about physical books, and actually now I'm a huge, huge ebook advocate. So, you know, I think it's important to try different things and see if they're for you. But anyway, I'm really proud of how it turned out actually, because it's so cute. Before we get too into this, first I want to show you guys something. I spent like $100 at a small business with my Christmas money, and I'm so excited. They're actually right behind me here. And this isn't an ad. I bought these with my own money. I don't think this girl even knows who I am. So just know that I would never do a secret ad and not tell you. But these are all from Sarah Hart. I'll put her website in the description. She's a small business. She's really cute. I follow her on Instagram now. But these are all sewing labels. And I feel like I only knew of sewing labels as like small, medium, large, like, you know, or possibly I've seen like made by grandma, which is still cute, don't get me wrong. But I was like, I'm not really interested in that. And then when I helped Shelly reorganize her sewing area upstairs, which there's actually a YouTube video of if you want to watch, I'll link that in the description as well. When I helped her, we found some sewing labels that she got from Joann's that were like on sale, and they say like made with love and swear words. And I was like, oh, that's cute. Like I've never seen tags like this because there's just, I don't have that many like sewists in my life. It's really just Shelly as far as like people who are like very consistently making stuff for other people. I have a couple people in my life who like crochet and knit and like make stuff for themselves and every now and then like make their sister a hat and things like that. Yeah, I'd never seen tags like that, and I was like, this has opened up a whole new world for me. And so I stole a couple of those from her for some of my late Christmas gifts that I've been making, and then went online to Michael's because that's all we have as far as like big craft retailer besides Amazon, right? And I do think buying something from Michael's is probably better than buying from Amazon. But anyway, I went to michaels.com. Sarah Hart's, this company, had like 2 things on there, and I was like, this is so cute. And it was like very clearly like they were packaged the same way in the pictures, and I was like, I wonder if she has her own website, which is, by the way, also how I use Amazon. I do still have the app on my phone, and it's because what I do if I want something really specific is I look it up on there, and then I find the brand, and then I go to the brand's website. Or I see if like somebody's selling it on eBay because they bought it for one thing and then used it, and then now they don't need it anymore. Which, by the way, steal that from me. It's saved me a lot of money, and also we haven't had to buy anything on Amazon in a long time. So yeah. Anyway, long-winded story to say I went to her website. She had way, way, way more options than there were on the Michaels website. So amazing news for me. So I'm doing a little haul, doing a little small business haul. I hope to do more of these in the future. I know a lot of people are like, I love to support small businesses. And like, don't we all, you know what I mean? They're just better. The packaging's always better. The customer service is always better. The shipping is longer, and that's literally the only downside. So why wouldn't I do it when I'm able to. I hope that if I get like birthday money this summer, I will probably place like a pretty big fabric order from a small business. And then I'm also in the market, if anyone knows anyone who sells zipper pulls, very similar to this kind that Curlworks used to sell, that's what I'm looking for. Like I want these like silicone zipper pulls. Every time I try to find some on like Etsy or Michael's or Amazon, again, so I can like find a small business that sells them, like they always look like this, and that's fine. That's just not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for like, I don't know, I'm looking for what Curlworks has. I know that Curlworks isn't the only business that makes these. Certainly other businesses make them. So if you guys know of anyone, please let me know. Also, if you know anyone who makes really cute patches, I might also put a really big like patch order in if I get birthday money this summer. I feel like I sound like a teenager where I'm like, with my birthday money, but I feel like that's, I don't know. Please weigh in the comments. If you're like 30 years old, I feel like that's the only time you get like, I don't know, like it's a gift, you know what I mean? And like, if my grandma sends me $20, then it's for a present. It's not for groceries, as long as I don't need it to be for groceries. It's a present, you know? And I'm gonna spend it on stuff for my old new hobby. Okay, sorry for the super long intro. Time for the haul. First, we have these made in Oregon ones. On the opposite side of the tag, it has the state of Oregon, like the shape of it. Really excited about that. I'll slowly put them back on the hook. Then we have trans heart flags for obvious reasons. I have two friends specifically that I bought these for, our friends who live in Colorado, but I haven't made their bags yet because they're both trans. And then anytime a small business is selling something that's like trans, like if they're not like specifically a queer owned business, they are like, for all I know at least, like a heteronormative business, but they're selling something like that. I guess it depends. It's very specific circumstances, but hear me out. I always like to buy that thing so they know, oh, I should stock more items that fall into this category. You know what I mean? But also if it was like a huge business, not huge, but like a medium-sized business that was just like profiting. I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to send the message, this is a good thing to make. Thanks for making it. You know, we have good things take time. I actually bought 2 packets of these because the bigger labels only come in packs of 4 instead of 8. And so I bought 2 of those. We have Just So Happy. I don't know. Is it a little too millennial of me to love a little pun? Like, cringe is dead, okay? I thought it was cute. I love pink and confetti, okay? It's gonna go perfect with some of my projects that we're gonna list today. I actually already used one out of this packet. It was called the Joyful June packet, which I just think is really cute because my baby was born in June. Don't know if you know. My favorite person, no big deal. He was born in June, but I'll put a picture up of what I made with it. I'm actually gonna post a short in a few days. Yeah, and I don't know, it was just cute. This one's like basically just for me. I don't think I'm gonna use any of these for other people's projects. I think they're just gonna be for projects that are for me. No shame, okay? I'm the one making them. Then I bought 2 packets of this one because how could I not? Like, that's so cute. Are you freaking kidding me? That's adorable. I like when they just say handmade because I feel like it's just true, and it's the easiest one that's like always true, you know what I mean? I thought about getting some that said made by mom for the things that I make my kiddo, and I probably will in my next like big order of things like this, but none of them really like spoke to me, you know what I mean? None of them felt like me. And then Shelly, who goes by Mimi, I haven't found anyone that makes made by Mimi tags that are this kind of like style, the like woven, I don't know, you know what I mean? I've only seen people that have like printed ones, which I think is fine, but like Shelly has the ability to kind of do the printed ones here at home, and I don't think they're as cute as ones that are woven. So anyway, one day I'm gonna find someone who makes them that are really cute, and we're gonna order 1,000 of them because now the whole house kind of calls her Mimi. So even though she's my mother-in-law, I feel like she's also like, you know, that's Mimi. That's who, Mimi's her name and also her job. You see what I'm saying? So I like the ones that just say handmade. You could put those on anyone's, you know what I mean? They don't define a relationship. I think I got 2 packets of these. No, I just got 1 packet of these. I kind of wish I'd gotten 2 because I've already used 1 and it was actually so perfect. But, you know, that just means I have to put in another order when I run out. And this is the last ones. I got 2 packets of these because that means I have 16 of them. And they seem the most, like, I could put them on literally anything. easy peasy lemon squeezy. And then I tend to sew around the entire like rectangle when I put a tag on. But if I only did the edges and did them really well, you could use the tag to like hang something up that you didn't want like creases on. You know what I mean? Like how they do like that little loop in the back of jeans and stuff, like jean jackets. So I like having the option to do that. Oh, also this guy, this isn't on the list of things we're going over today, but you may have seen him in the cabin vlog. I did buy him. I'm gonna turn him into a super strange bag for Kyle, our friend Kyle. You know, you guys know Kyle. If you don't, please go back and watch the Kyle vlogs. Okay, time for the main event. Things that I'm hoping to sew in 2026, hopefully sooner rather than later. Felix and I have started a new schedule where we both get a couple of hours a week to craft or read, like alone time. Guaranteed alone time. Ideally, nothing trumps it unless like it's really, really unavoidable. We try to schedule things around it, things like that. So I have had a lot more time to sew as well than I did in years past because, well, it's, you know, it's so true. People, you think you're busy before you have a child and then you're like, I must have had all the free time in the world because like, what did I do? Not complaining. It's just like, it really does change your perspective of time. But also it's kind of changed my perspective a lot. Maybe it's because now I'm at like the 18-month, well, 20-month mark where I'm a little bit more seasoned versus like that first year where you're really just like surviving and like so happy, but like it's a lot. It's a big change, you know, where anyway, now I've always said I'm not really good at relaxing. And I think that's still true in like the way people think of relaxing. Like I'm really not good at just like lay down, watch a movie, do nothing else. But now I feel like I've really had like a breakthrough in being like, you know what, I'm gonna do only what I absolutely have to do today, which is like I have to do laundry, I have to do dishes, we have to have stuff to eat off of, we have to have clothes to wear, and keeping the rest of the house, like I throw away trash and like there's not like food out or anything, but like keeping it organized over sleeping or doing something like sewing or reading for like my mental rest. I used to always be like, no, I have to clean the house all day anytime I have any free time. And the past few months have really stopped doing that. And I thought I would feel guilty. And I did a little bit at first, but it's like, it's fine. I enjoy cleaning. Like that's something I need to remember is like, I enjoy cleaning. So if I just say, hey, Felix or anyone in the house, like, can you watch the baby for 4 hours on this day so I can just clean our whole house top to bottom and feel good about it, and they'll be like, hell yeah. Like it can get done, you know? First, I need to finish up all of our Christmas presents. 2 months late. I am still working on them, but I am almost done. Very exciting. So hopefully I can start on these in the next few weeks. The first thing that I want to make once I finish up the Christmas presents is the Harriet sewing machine bag. This pattern I do already have. I've already printed it out and cut it out. I will say there were reviews talking about how the pattern doesn't like overlap well enough when you print it at home to line up very good, and I do see what they mean. It doesn't have enough overlap, but it's doable, and something that I've learned by sewing so many bags is like it can be like a little bit off. It will be fine, especially if you're making stuff out of like cotton and like quilting things. Like nothing's ever gonna be like perfect. If it is off by a millimeter in one direction, it'll still work. Don't worry, it'll still be cute. I already have my fabric picked out. This is what it looks like. We thrifted it probably about a year ago, definitely after the baby was born. So we thrifted it sometime in the last 20 months. And I think it'll be really cute. My only worry is that the way that the pattern's made, the main bag piece is like one long rectangle. And so ideally your fabric would be not directional. So, but it's quilted anyway, so I'm just gonna basically turn that big long piece into 2 pieces, sew them at like what would be like the very bottom of the bag, and then quilt it, and it'll be one big piece. It'll be fine. I'm not concerned about it at all because I've been practicing. This pattern's made by Brooklyn Made, and it's $12 on Etsy. I'm also rounding up. I think it's like $11.95, but $12, you know what I mean? Next, I really want to make another one of the bags that I made for my sister's kids for Christmas. I did vlog it, not super well. I'm still not very seasoned on like filming sewing. I'm seeing what works for me, because I used to always say I would never film like crafting content because I feel like it's really vulnerable and also you have to move the camera a lot. But it's all I'm doing now. And now that I like am feeling more proud of what I'm making, I'm figuring out what works for me, you know? Anyway, I want to make my own one of these bags. I've been calling it a Conkin dupe. It's like supposed to be a dupe of the Fall Raven Conkin bag. You know, that's what it is. I want to make one though out of these reusable Costco bags. They were like semi-viral on my Instagram at least, and we got some specifically. I wanted them for this project. I almost never buy, actually never in any other circumstance, have I bought something new to take apart and make into something else. This is the only time I've done that, but it's a vision I have, and I think it would be so cute. The person who made this pattern, Becky Stern, when she made it, in her example, she made an IKEA bag out of hers. Like, she used the IKEA Tarpy material and turned it into one of these bags, and I thought that was so cute. But I don't go to IKEA that much, but I love Costco. And I think we all know they're also a pretty good company, especially compared to a lot of big companies. I love Costco. I think it'll be cute. I think it'll be a perfect like 2-year-old diaper bag. As we're starting things like potty training, and you know, he doesn't need a change of clothes every single hour like he did when he was very, very small. We just don't need our like super big bulky diaper bag. I've been using this bag actually that Felix made for me when we were dating. The backpack is from IKEA actually, and Felix took a super long time and put all these patches on it, and then I've added patches over the years, and I just love it. I will say, is not a very good chunky person bag, because I have to have it on like the loosest setting and it still doesn't really fit super great, but I love it so much I would never get rid of it. It would have to literally catch on fire for me to stop using it. So that's like our in-between bag right now. But I think if I made a Costco one out of that material, it would just be cute, and then I would feel less worried if I lost it, the way that I'm so worried about losing my bag that Felix made me like 7 years ago. I'm not sure what I would use for lining fabric. Also, sorry if you can hear my neighbor using his leaf blower, okay? I live in a house in a neighborhood. The neighbors do stuff sometimes. This pattern is by Becky Stern, and it's a $6 pattern on Etsy. I did make it. She has a video that goes along with it. I haven't made anything yet that doesn't have a video that goes along with it. I feel like it just makes it so much easier. She does have a video. I will say it was like the thing that kicked off me getting really back into sewing. And it was, here's a picture of me while I was making it. I was really flipping my lid a little bit while it was happening. But now that I've made 2 of them, I think if I made one for myself, it would be better. Next, I really want to make, probably I would move this to the top of the list as far as like order. These aren't really any specific order. You know, I kind of follow my bliss when it comes to what I'm going to make next. Anyway, I want to make one of these trampoline skirts and like ottoman situations. I first saw this probably like a year or so ago, maybe like 10 months ago. I saw a reel of someone who found something like this that was truly like vintage. And then I saw this creator. I have no idea how you say this. I don't know which letter goes with what. They must have also seen it, and they were like, I can do that. I already have a trampoline. And we actually also have a trampoline. It's just in our like attic essentially right now. And as our kiddo gets a little bit bigger, I think we're going to want something like this in our downstairs living room. And also, like, it would be great to have an ottoman again. I miss having an ottoman. Right now, there's no ottoman because your baby just runs into it. You know what I mean? It's just kind of in the way all the time. And this would be a great way for our friends to have a place to put their feet when they're at our house. Or if we got a little tray, like maybe put their drink on it or something. And right now, there's just nothing like that. So there is no pattern. That's my biggest concern. When I was showing this to Shelly when I first found it, she was like, I feel confident that we can like work this, like workshop it and make it work. So she would be co-creating it with me for sure. I think it would be so cute. I don't have a fabric in mind, either a type or like a style. We have a very busy living room already. So I would probably want like a solid-ish color. The creator that I keep mentioning, Jean, I guess, used like a gingham. So I feel like I'm seeing gingham in my mind, maybe like a red, since we have like some red in our fruit mural. I don't know, I'd have to workshop it. I have to see also, I would much rather buy, almost all of my fabrics are secondhand. So I'm gonna see what I can find secondhand. But we'll see. Probably, I think she's using like a linen, and so a linen would probably be good, or just like a cotton would be great, because then you could just wash it. Linen, like, it never is not wrinkly, but then also like sometimes that's a look, you know what I mean? Very soon I am upcycling my Universal Standard black jumpsuit. You've maybe seen me wear it possibly once. It's very comfortable, but like I just don't wear black. Like I don't really wear a lot of browns. I don't really wear a lot of blacks. I don't really wear like a lot of dark colors, with the exception of like navy blue. And even then, like, this has blue and like yellow in it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just like a bright color girly, but I really like the jumpsuit. It's so comfortable. I feel like it looks so cute. It's just so like bleh to me. But I have this, what is supposed to be a baby quilt. It is just like the top piece though, it's not quilted. And it was sent to us when we did that collab with Make and Mend, who again, I don't know if anyone knows anyone there, but I would love to do another collab with them if they were ever interested. And I think I'm just gonna essentially turn it into a bunch of appliques and put it all over the jumpsuit. It'll be really cute. I think I actually have a date set aside at the next Riot Art. I'm gonna cut the pieces out while we're chatting with everyone. And hopefully a few days after that I can put them on the jumpsuit. But I'm very excited. I think it's actually going to turn out super cute, and then I'll wear that jumpsuit way more. And it'll be one of a kind. I really want to make the heart apron. I feel like this has been rising in popularity lately. And then Sabrina Carpenter actually just wore one on her Muppet Show special feature thing, and it was so cute. It was so cute. And I don't need an apron. I don't need one, but I think it would be good practice for ruffles especially, which I've never made. And if I don't use it, I could give it to someone. I could give it away on here. You know, like I just want to make it so that it's something that I've made, and I think it's so cute. I don't have a particular fabric in mind, but it would be pretty easy to find some like red, pink, yellow, like fabric that would work for sure. And yeah, I think it would be so cute. This is an $8 pattern on Etsy by Patterns by Brandy Joan. Really cute. No idea how complicated it is. I didn't look to see if it was like beginner or intermediate, but I can't imagine it's higher than like confident beginner, because it's an apron. How hard could it be? Then we have the peanut pouch. The peanut pouch is what it was called when I originally found it on Pinterest. Now when I go to that link, it's like, oh, this isn't sold anymore. So I found one that was similar. It's not called peanut pouch on this person's website, but I think that's a really cute name. So that's what I will be calling it here in my home. It holds wipes and diapers. I feel like this is perfect for like second time moms or season moms, or like moms that live in places like, I don't know, like busy cities where you have to like ride public transportation and like you already have to carry a lot of stuff with you. Then like this is kind of like a really, really condensed diaper bag. It just holds diapers and wipes. And also if you make it where the little strap is like a buckle or something, you could just like clip it onto a stroller or onto a backpack, or, you know. We have a couple of people in our lives who are pregnant or planning to be pregnant soonish. And so I think it would just be like a really good, like, maybe not a first time parent, because I know as a first time parent, I was like, I need to have all the stuff that I want exactly how I want it. And then we're not planning on trying to have a second for a while. But when we do, I'll be much more like, we've already got everything we need. Like, you know, it's okay. Like if you see a cute outfit at the thrift store, let me know. But we don't really need much other than new diapers. I feel like this will be perfect for folks like that. This is a $10 pattern on Etsy by Sun and Spool, but there is not a complimenting video. That makes me nervous, but also like I do know how to read patterns. I did learn how to read them in college. I would just not say I'm very confident in reading patterns and instructions. Like I very much like to have the video, but maybe that's like sort of a crutch that I am just refusing to give up, you know? because I can do it. I can do hard things. I do hard things all the time. Heart oven mitts, similar to the heart apron, actually even more practical than the heart apron, because these lay flat, so you can also use them as a trivet very easily, compared to like the oven mitts that are kind of like a puppet is what we have upstairs. And like you can use it as a trivet, but it's like a little wobbly. This would be perfect because you can lay it flat, but also it looks like a heart. Come on, that's so cute. This is an $8 pattern. It's actually on YouTube. I found it through YouTube through a video, and their handle is BL Handmade 3244. Doesn't really roll off the tongue, but whatever works. I'm excited to make them. I think it'll be cute. I don't have any fabric set aside, but between me and Shelly, I'm sure I can find things that'll go together very easily. I definitely feel like hearts typically should be like reds and pinks. Maybe that's very commercial of me, but I don't care. I think it's cute. Also, we have a pink kitchen, so like if I was gonna make them for our house, I would want them to be pink and red anyway, you know? So, and then I also think if I got pretty good at it, they'd be like a really good gift. Because like you can't have, I mean, at a certain point, I guess you can't have too many oven mitts and trivets, but like if you cook or host at all, it's just better to have a couple extra. Next, this is obvious. I just want to make some more toddler pants. A kiddo can't really have too many pairs of pants, as long as you've got the room to put them in the dresser, because they're always half of them are in the wash. So yeah, and it's something that you don't need that much fabric to make. I haven't made any yet because I'm not like seasoned with elastic. Anytime I mention it, Shelly's like, elastic is so easy, but I don't know. Maybe it's like trauma from being a fat person my whole life. Elastic is so scary to me because if you mess it up, it's so uncomfortable. If it's too tight, it's so uncomfortable. And if it's too loose, it's not doing anything. So I am nervous, especially about putting elastic on something for someone else. But I will figure it out and it'll be great and it'll be so cute. You also don't need a pattern for these. You just like take some pants that already fit your kiddo the way that you like and fold it in half and basically make a pattern. And so I can do that. I also know people who make their kid these pants are usually like, yeah, it took me like 30 minutes. If you don't put like appliques or pockets or anything. Kids don't really need pockets, so I don't plan to put pockets in them, but I do think it's really cute when people put appliques on like the knees to like reinforce them or things like that. So I would probably do that to some of them, but we'll see. I've got a couple fabrics in mind. Nothing like that I think is important enough to show you a picture of, but I've got lots of things where I probably have enough to make a pair of pants for my toddler or other toddlers that we know, you know. I really want to make a sleep mask. I don't sleep with a sleep mask. I kind of think I would be doing this just for like the art of it all. I saw someone on Pinterest a long time ago, I'm sure I can find the picture, where they just looked so cute. They weren't just like black or blue or green. And then I've obviously seen like people remake the one from Breakfast at Tiffany's, but this was like much cuter than that. And I was like, I think that'd be a really cute gift for anyone who is possibly thinking about using a sleep mask. Because even if you don't use it, I just feel like it looks really cute. I don't know, maybe that's silly, but I kind of want to make one for myself, and maybe I would use it. Like, I don't know, you know, I've never really tried, so maybe I would. There's no pattern for this. If I enjoyed making them, I think I could make them and sell them, you know, to people who might use them. So I think that would be kind of cool, especially like as I'm using crafting basically as like, I don't want to say therapy because I hate when people are like, oh, shopping is my therapy, you know what I mean? But I am using it as like a mental health tool. So I at a certain point, I do think I'll have time to make stuff just for the hell of making it. And that's when I would make these, I think. I have never successfully made clothes for myself. I've always made like bags or like hemming pants that already exist or things like that. I take that back, not never. I did make my Miss Frizzle costume in college. I made it completely by myself. And then I tried to make myself some pants during the pandemic, and that did not work. All of that to say, I've been putting off trying to make like clothing because I feel like it takes a long time, and then if it doesn't work or it doesn't fit, I will be so discouraged. Versus like a bag, I don't know, like a bag doesn't have to fit anything, you know? But as I start to make some of these things and feel more confident, I've got just a couple of like clothing items on this list that I do hope to make this year. First, we've got the Laurel house dress. I think it's really cute. You can certainly customize it a lot of different ways, which I think is nice. I do have a fabric that I want to use for this, which is this fabric. I thrifted it. It's definitely just supposed to be like, I don't even know, like curtains maybe? Because it's not, typically when I thrift fabric, it's almost always it's bed sheets. But this, maybe it was just fabric that somebody gave up, because like it's not bed sheets. It's like too stiff, number one. And number two, when I thrift bed sheets, it's obviously usually like a fitted sheet and then a top sheet. And this is not that. So yeah, maybe it was just fabric somebody gave up, but I don't know. But I think it'd be really cute as a house dress. So precious. I also have fabric that is really, really like thin that I got in an estate sale that was definitely bed sheets, and that's why they're so thin, that I think I could make accents with. I could never make clothing out of it because you'd see everything underneath. But I think it would be kind of cute together. This is by Soft Paw Vintage, who I actually followed years and years ago. She used to, I guess, I don't know their pronouns. Soft Paw Vintage used to either thrift or make quilts and then make coats out of them. They were so expensive, understandably so. They were like $300 or $400 and they were so beautiful. And then I know that they pivoted from doing that to now they sell things like patterns. And you know, I'm happy to support them. This does only go up to a 4X. I typically wear a 2X usually, sometimes a 3X depending on the brand. This is also like a very loose dress. So I think I'm gonna look at the measurements to decide which one I want to make. But given that it's a very loose, like not very fitted outfit, I think it'll be fine. I am just nervous about it. It is a $22 pattern as well, which is a little hefty compared to all these other ones. But I feel like also clothing, like you're paying for their time having made the pattern, right? And it is much harder to draft a pattern for clothing because you have to grade it for different sizes, which is very difficult, especially I feel like if you are a straight size person and you're trying to be inclusive and pattern draft through plus sizes, that would be very difficult unless you had many different types of fat friends in your life, because people who are plus size carry weight in different ways, and that's something that like, it's the reason why I would probably never make a pattern, like because you have to really think about how some people carry weight in their tummy versus like some people carry weight in their hips or like their butt, you know what I mean? Like people carry it differently, and you have to really think about that when you're making a pattern for anything that's like even close to being tight. Again, this isn't that, so I'm not as worried about it, but I think that's why it's $22, is because a lot more time goes into making patterns that are clothes for adults. Similar to that, I want to make the Lane Pants by Sydney Graham. Sydney Graham, if you don't watch her, she's so precious. She actually lives in Eugene, which is, if you don't know, like within 2 hours of us. Not that I'm gonna stalk her or anything, but it's just really cute to see somebody local who has a lot more followers and has like a great business. She actually makes most of her money, I just found out on one of her videos, she makes most of her money with patterns, which I had no idea. I watch every single video she puts out multiple times usually because her vibes are so good. And she like really, I put her on when like I want to get in the mood for sewing, because I feel like she does a really good job of approaching sewing. She talks a lot about how like you don't know what you're doing. Like you start sewing, you don't know what you're doing and you're not supposed to. And you can only learn how to do stuff by doing it. And so she's a huge part of the reason why I got back into sewing. Same with Shelly, who lives in my house, obviously. But anyway, she drafted these Lane Pants forever ago. I think they're still her bestseller. I think she sold like 500 of them, like selling the pattern, like in the last month before she filmed a video where she was talking about it. And I was like, that's crazy. Good for her. But everyone I know who's made them online or in my real life loves them, says that it's a pretty easy pattern to follow. She also obviously made a video that you can follow. And yeah, I have plenty of fabrics that would work for these. I have my Free Label pants that I'm not wearing today, but I wear them like 3 times a week. I have both a black pair and a olive green pair. I wear the green pair way more often than the black pair because again, I don't wear black that much, but they're so comfortable. Based on looks, it seems like the Lane Pants are very, very similar. So I really want to make some, especially if I can find some like linen that would work. I really have honestly only cotton and towel material in these filing cabinets. So I've really got to start looking out for linen. I just feel like it's you know, I'm unfamiliar with it. And so I'm scared to buy it, but I will be brave. The Lane Pants pattern is $16. You can also follow Sydney on Instagram if you want to see some of other patterns, or you just want a really cute content creator to follow. Her kids are older than mine. I think they're like 7 and like, she's got 2 kids and they're between like 7 and like 12. But she doesn't share them. She doesn't really talk about them unless it's like relevant. And even then, like, I don't know their names, so I don't think she shares them. Maybe she does. Anyway, she's really, really cute and really precious. And all of her patterns, I think, let me see. This pattern in particular goes from a size 0 to a size 34. And I don't mean like 34 inches, I mean size 34. This is the only one of hers that I've really looked into, but I'm pretty sure her other clothing pattern that she make, I think also went up to like 6 or 7X. I could be wrong. She is so cute. Happy to support her. Shelly actually already has this pattern, so I don't have to buy it, but I would if I needed to. Very excited to make those. And then I have 2 more. Both, I would say I am nervous and they seem challenging, but I think I would get a lot of use out of both of these. First, we have the Bonnie Top by the Good Murph. This is a $17 pattern and it only goes up to XXL, which makes me very nervous. Makes me very nervous, but it is so cute. It's so cute. I've wanted a top like this for so long. I love big collar. I've never owned big collar because I feel like nobody sells it. First of all, I basically thrift almost all of my clothes, so there's that. And then secondly, like, yeah, I feel like only skinny brands for some reason sell big collar. So I really want something that has like giant collar. I think it's so cute. Is it like an outdated trend? No idea. I don't care. I don't really go by that. I'm kind of going with vibes, and the vibes I want are big, huge, giant collar. But yeah, it only goes up to XXL, which makes me nervous because what if I make it and it doesn't fit? But if that's the case, I could just take it to the clothing swap. It's not a huge deal. And then maybe by the time I make that, I would be confident enough to just like grade it up. I don't know. It is kind of loose though, so I'm thinking, and I don't typically like things to fit loose. I typically like things to fit a little bit more fitted. So I'm thinking if I make the XXL, it'll probably fit how I want. That's my hope and my dream. It does say when you go to look at buying the pattern that it's an intermediate pattern. I'm nervous about that. I'm nervous about that. But I will have Shelly helping me and reading the pattern. And I don't know if she has a video. Hopefully she does. That would help. But we'll see. And then the last thing that I really want to make. Some of you sent this to me, so I know at least some of you have seen this already. But I really want to make Franklin J's frog coat. She has not released a pattern. Anytime she says anything about it, I'm like, please release a pattern. Please make a pattern. And to be fair, now that I like follow Sydney Graham and she talks about how much work goes into grading patterns for different sizes, I see why she hasn't released one. But I really, really want this coat and I cannot afford to pay the $400 that it is definitely worth. I'm not complaining about the price at all because I know a lot of work went into making it, especially when the inside is like the Kermit banjo fabric, which does not come by easily. However, it is like she posted it and I was like, this is my new dream. I love it so much. I think I would wear it literally all of next winter if I made it. I think I'd have to start on it in the summer, knowing me. I think I would have to already have the materials for it by summer. And I really want mine to look basically exactly like hers. I think the coloring's perfect. I would love to have the lining be Kermit playing the banjo, or maybe like a different Muppet fabric if one comes available to me. I want to use something that's basically just Kermit. And I feel like the banjo one is the only one I can think of that's just Kermit. Anyway, I know Franklin J doesn't watch my content. I would hope she would not be offended if I was making something that she made for myself. I would never sell it. I would keep it forever and ever. You know, I feel like most creators, like I feel like it's only stealing someone's work if you were like making it yourself and then acting like you invented it. And then also especially if you were selling it. But I think if I made it and was like, this is inspired by Franklin J's frog coat, I wanted one for myself, so I made it. I would hope that if it ever got back to her, she wouldn't be offended. But it's so cool. I think first of all, my biggest concern is I've never made a coat. And a coat is very complicated. You have to make a lining and you have to quilt it or use, I don't know, like something thick in between the 2 layers. And then you have to really finish like your seams. I don't know. I feel like a lot goes into it. Plus, since she doesn't have a pattern, I need to take a coat pattern that Shelly already has and alter the collar, which I don't think would be like terribly hard as long as it was a coat that already had a collar. I think I could just draw another one and like basically copy the pattern onto like drafting paper that we already have. But it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous. I've never like done like they call it like hacking it. Like I'm gonna hack this pattern, like life hacks. It's cute. I've never done that. So that's why it's at like I said these weren't in any particular order, but that is why it's the last one I'm mentioning right now, because I feel like it's the most, by far the most intimidating, but also like by far, I am not exaggerating. I have thought about the frog coat probably at least every day, if not every other day since she posted it, and that was like a month ago. I think about it all the time. Anytime I'm slightly cold, I'm like, you know what would fix this problem? If I had the frog coat. That would fix it. And then I was talking to Bo, and I could make a hood that like you pull up and it's Kermit's eyes, but I think if I did that, I don't think I'd wear it. I'm not like a hood wearing person. I think for me, I feel like it's from growing up plus size. Like growing up as a chunky kid, I was always wearing hoodies. That's like all I wore because it was like hiding my body, you know what I mean? And so now I hate hoodies. So while I think the idea of having a hood that has Kermit's eyeballs on top is really cute, I think I would keep my frog coat the exact same way that Franklin J made hers. Long-winded way to say, I think part of the reason it's so intimidating is because it would be complicated, but also I think I would buy all new fabrics for it. Not new, but like I would go searching specifically online for that Kermit Banjo fabric to be the lining, and I would want to buy basically those same specific greens for the outside. I've never done that. I've never like bought, but I could buy from like a small business that sells green, like thick fabric. That would not be that bananas. Okay, that is the end of that. I just have like some final thoughts that I want to share. First of all, I just want to say that I think that sewing is like the greatest hobby that you get like the most reward out of, in my opinion, for me. And I put off getting better for so long because like I had this sewing machine, but I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I don't even really know like how to take care of it. I don't even really know like how to thread it. I don't even really know like what the difference is between needles. Like, I just don't know any of that. And so I put it off for so long because I didn't remember. And I did learn a lot of that in college, but like I didn't remember, you know? And I just kept putting it off. I was like only use my sewing machine every few months to like hem a t-shirt or some pants. And every time I'd be like looking up like how to thread it and things like that. And it's like, I don't know, like you don't have to sit around. If you sit around and like wait for permission to be like, you're allowed to do something even though you're going to be bad at it at first, like you're never going to do it. And I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe the stressfulness of the world just like pushed me into like, you've got to do something with your hands. But it's like, I don't know, like, it's like, I was like, okay, it's a little ugly. Whatever, it's gonna be for a little bit. And like, I feel like I have so many artist friends who do so many other things constantly, like Lemon, who does all of our tattoos, any of our friends who make like art in the traditional way or non-traditional, I guess. All of them are like, yeah, it's just bad at first. Like you start drawing and it's bad, and that's just what it is. And then eventually it gets better. You just have to keep practicing. And it's like, yeah, that makes sense for like painting. Like, okay, yeah, if I were to paint something right now, you'd be like, what is that? You know? And it's like, you really do. It's like such a silly lesson to keep learning all the time, but like you really can only get better by doing it. You're not going to get worse by doing it. That's for sure. That's for sure. I think you just have to be comfortable with the fact that like your first couple of projects especially are going to be a little bit ugly. That's okay. What I would suggest if you're even thinking about getting into sewing is thrift some bed sheets that are any color you don't hate. Get a pattern for something like a zipper pouch. Something that like, as long as it works, it doesn't need to be that cute. And make like 3 of them and give them to friends or put them on Facebook Marketplace for free because they were just like practice projects. And then after that, you get a little bit better. You know, you start getting better at like understanding where your seam allowance is and understanding like what kind of projects you might want to save in the future. Pinterest, okay, I know that a lot of it is AI slop, but so much of it isn't. I think it's still a very, very good resource, honestly. Same for Etsy. I know a lot of it is like drop ship shipped stuff, but it's still where I go to look for stuff. And then similar actually to how I use Amazon, I will like go see if the person has like a website. It's still like a great search engine. And also if you're nervous, then only make things that also have videos. You could do that for years. Like you're allowed to start learning how to do something whenever you want. You do not have to sit around and wait until you're smart enough to do it. You're smart enough right now. You can do it. There's videos. We live in the future. At least right now, you have access to any information in your pocket on whatever device you're watching this on. You can look up how to use sewing machine. You can look on Facebook Marketplace, and I'm sure someone's giving one away for free, or at least selling it for less than like $50. There are also places that if you have one that's kind of messed up for some reason, see if there's a sewing machine repair place in your town. We have at least 2, I think. I'm really proud that I've been getting better. It is still not perfect, but something that makes me feel a little bit better when I'm like, oh, this seems like a little bit not straight or whatever, is like go in your closet right now and pick up a pair of pants that you like paid money for and look really closely at some of the seams, you know, or like a shirt. Like just look, there's mistakes. That's just all clothing is handmade. All clothing is handmade. It is often made by people who are not getting paid enough, but that's a different conversation for a different day. It is impossible to make clothes that aren't handmade, at least in one aspect. It's not possible. Robots can't make clothes all by themselves. So there's going to be imperfections. And I think in a world where AI is taking over so many creative things, I am now like, yeah, I love imperfections. Now, I would like a top if I were to make one. I would like one that's mostly even. And I would like them either both sleeves to be the same length or at least within a centimeter or so of each other. But like a seam that's a little bit not straight, no one's gonna notice. I promise. Any person I've given any gift to, they've been like, this is amazing. This is so well made. Like, oh my gosh. And because they don't know. They can't see what you can see. And it's the same with anything. You just have to start. You just have to start. I'm begging you, if you have a sewing machine sitting in your house this weekend, next weekend, just like go find some fabric. Look up, there are plenty of YouTube videos that's like free pattern. Make a such and such, you know? I didn't put it on the list, but I'm gonna make those like refillable eggs for our kiddo's Easter basket that you just like put candy in and then it just like looks cute in the bag with like scrap fabric. The sunglasses case I just made myself. The video, I'll put it in the description. The video of the person who made it, she was like, you can buy the pattern, but like I'll show you right now in the video how to just make one with a piece of paper. Like you can do it. And it was a super easy pattern. Now my first one that I made looks like this. And then when I made mine yesterday, it looks much straighter. And actually, when I was making it, I was like, actually, I think I'm going to do this one part different next time. And like, that's just, you were allowed to do that. It's yours. Okay, I'm getting off of my pedestal. I just really want everyone that I know to know that like, you are very smart and you can make stuff. And it doesn't have to be sewing. If you have some clay in your house, turn on a movie and like make a little hot dog with the clay and you'll be like, here it is, here's something that I made. And you could put a magnet on it and now it's a magnet on your fridge and people will be like, where'd you get this weird little hot dog magnet? And you can be like, I made it. Yeah, I made it. It's amazing. Have your friends over, you know, you can all make little hot dog magnets. It'll be great. I hope that these silly little videos help you guys feel better. I am so proud that we have this community. I am so proud that we're able to use our platform to talk about important things and also to talk about silly things. And also, I love every single time we get a comment of people being like, thank you so much for sharing this. Like, you know, I'm queer and I'm still really young. And like, it's just so nice to know that like there's possibly a future where like I can have a family and I can like sew on the weekends and like, I don't know, like that's all I could ever want. This is the coolest job. And I am so endlessly grateful that you are all here to make it possible. The world is so scary, but you are so lovely and I'm so proud of you. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. If you liked this video and you want to see more of them, please subscribe. We would love to have you. We're also on Instagram and Upscrolled and Threads And we also have a Patreon if you'd like to support us over there. Everything under $8 gets access to all the same content. We post behind the scenes stuff. We post these videos of us just talking like as if it's a little podcast. And then $8 is actually our YouTube Superstar tier, and you get to watch all of these YouTube videos with no ads. And in the future, actually, I was thinking about this today. In the future, if we ever get sponsorships, I think I'm just gonna edit the video, not fully twice. It would be the same video, and then I would export one that has like the sponsored part cut out and put that on Patreon, so you wouldn't have to sit through that. Unless it was particularly funny. Sometimes brands let us do really funny ones, and so I'd probably leave it in, but be like in the description, like skip this minute to this minute if you don't want to see the ad that I thought was funny. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you guys next time. Bye. The bloopers should be okay. I'm really proud of how it turned out, actually. Oh, she had way more options than there were of hers. Hang on. I think I might also put in a pretty hefty patch order. Sorry, that's my baby screaming because he's not getting his way. Oh no. Oh, nuts. I actually already used one out of this packet. Rats! Cute. And like this kind of, yeah, buddy. Hey, girl. I'm not sure what I would use for lining fabric. Sorry if you can hear my neighbor blow, what's it called?
This is me completely butchering this person's name because I probably have dyslexia and I am not seeing that there is another V in the name.
Jean Vanderzeel? Jean Vanderzeel? I think is how you say it. Same grade. Oh, I need to film on my phone for my short form. I'm also filming today. Oh my god, she's so busy. How does she do it? One day at a time, boys. But I do think it's really cute when people put like appliques. And so if I buy a sweater, was my nose squeaking? Must have been a mouse.